Hello, good morning, my dear students in SPA 7 Music. I am your teacher for this subject. So, our topic is all about the elements and principles of artistic expression in all the arts. Artistic expression gives voice to what we see and feel. Art is the creation of works of beauty or other significance. We know already that art is everywhere. And music, aside from a creative organization of sound, music also considered as a food of our soul. So we have here the elements of artistic expression in all the arts. First, we have space. What does it mean by space? So space it refers to the distances or areas around, between, and within components of a piece. It can be positive or negative, open or closed, shallow or deep, and two-dimensional or three-dimensional. And that is space. So here is the example of space. Look at the pictures. So the pictures composed of two faces of person. So the space there is in between of the two faces. So that is the space. Next, we have line. Line, it is any image that consists of distinct straight or curved lines placed against a background with art gradations in shade or hue to represent two-dimensional or three-dimensional objects. So here is the example of line. So line there, these are the examples. So it consists a distinct straight or curved lines placed against a background. So in these pictures, there are 9 pictures. We have different lines. Others are straight and some are curved lines. The next we have the movement. Movement is a self-contained part of a musical composition or musical form where individual or selected movements from a composition are sometimes performed separately. A performance of the complete work requires all the movements to be performed in succession. So we know already that movement, this is very common, not just only in music, even though in a theatrical performances. So in arts, it is a tendency or style with a specific common philosophy or goal, followed by a group of artists during a specific period of time, years, or at least with a heyday of the movement defined with a number of years. That is according to the art, or the meaning of the movement according to the art. So here is the example of movement. So try to look at the picture. So we have different notes there according to the music. Then at the bottom of the bar, okay, so this one. So this is an example of movement. Okay. Next, we have texture. Okay, so texture in music is how the tempo, the melodic and harmonic materials are combined in a combination, thus determining the overall quality of the sound in a piece. In arts, it is the perceived surface quality of a work of art. So use of texture along with other elements of design can convey a variety of messages and emotions. So according to the arts, in using textures, it also an elements that can convey a variety of messages and emotions. Whereas in music, texture is how the tempo, melodic, and harmonic materials that combined in a composition, and that is also to determine the overall quality of the sound in a piece. So that is texture. So here is the example of texture. So we have here the monophony, homophony, polyphony, and heterophony. So try to look at the difference between the four pictures, particularly in monophony, it is a single wave, whereas in homophony, there are something shades there. Then for the polyphony, there are three lines. Okay, and then for the heterophony, only one line, but there is something shadowy. Then whereas in the bottom, this is also another example of texture. If we're talking about texture, try to compare the harina and polvo. So that is what we call a texture. Next one we have sound. Sound, it refers to any tone with characteristics such as controlled pitch and timbre. So we know already that pitch, this is the highness or lowness of a tone. So if a sound source vibrates in a regular manner, it produces a pressure wave which is made up of periodically repeating pattern of compressions and rarefunctions. So this is interpreted by the human ear as a note of defined musical pitch. Take note class, pag susobra na sa 85 decibel, yung lakas ng sound, hindi na yan masasabi natin na sound. That is what we call noise na ang tawag doon. Nakakabingi na. Okay, so here is the example or the picture that represent sound. So sound, that is actually, there are some waves there. Okay, and then this is actually coming from the mouth of a person. So that is what we call, it produces a pressure wave which is made up of periodically repeating pattern of compression and rarefactions. Okay, so that is sound. Next, we have silence. Okay, so silence, it is the lack of audible sound or presence of sounds of very low intensity. In an orchestra, it can add emphasis to what other instruments are playing because the notes stand out more. A few beats of silence can raise a listener's expectation of what is about to come. Okay, so if we're talking about silence, this is what we call a lack of audible sound, or shall I say the absence of sound, whereas very low intensity. Okay, so here are the examples of silence. So there are 5 musical symbols here that represent silence. Okay, next we have rhythm. Rhythm, it is the pattern of regular or irregular pulses caused in music by occurrence of strong and weak melodic and harmonic beats. So in arts, it is a principle of design that suggests movement or action. It is usually achieved through repetition of lines, shapes, colors, and more. That is rhythm. Rhythm in music, the pattern of regular or irregular pulses, yung pagkakasunod-sunod na tunog, or sometimes hindi magkakapareho yung tunog. That is what we call rhythm in music. Whereas rhythm in arts is a principle design that suggests movement or actions, particularly in theatrical performances. So in their first steps in movement, that is what we call rhythm or action. So it is usually achieved according to the repetition of lines or steps. Then we have also the shapes or the formation, the colors, the choreography, and of course in others. So that is also what we call rhythm in arts. We have also the rhythm in music. So here are the examples of rhythm. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 10 musical symbols here in the left side. Then we have also the rhythm name in the right side. So these are the examples of rhythm and music. Okay, the next one we have the form. Form in music, it refers to the structure of a musical composition or performance. Form, the structure. or shall I say, this is also what we call the concept of music is musical composition or performance. So in arts, form it is a three-dimensional and encloses space. Okay, so that is the difference between the form in music and the form in arts. So here are the examples of forms. So try to look at the pictures. We have the section B and section A. Okay, so we have here the different notes in music. Then the other one, this is also another example of form in arts. So this is what we call it three-dimensional enclosed space. So the space here, this is the space between the two pictures, the shaded and then the other one. So this is what we call a three-dimensional. Okay, so we have the width, the height, and the length. That is what we call a three-dimensional. Okay, so next we have the principles of artistic organization common in the arts. So what are those organizations, particularly the principles of artistic in common in the arts? So first we have the unity and variety. What is actually the difference between the unity and the variety? So try to look at the definition of this. So first we have unity. Unity refers to the idea of repetition, staying the same, or using similar ideas during a piece of music. So that is unity. The idea of repetition, staying the same, or using similar ideas during a piece of music. So, while variety refers to creating a sense of novelty in a song by adding new ideas, patterns, or musical elements. So, that is the difference between the unity and variety. Variety, when I say variety, it talks about the ideas, patterns, and the musical elements that we are going to use, particularly in singing or performing in a theatrical performances. By maintaining a solid balance between both unity and variety, you can effectively engage the listener and keep them interested in your music for a long time. Okay, so especially those performers internationally. So they have their own style, they have their own technique on how to entertain, how to sing a song, particularly the high pitch. So we have actually different ways for those singers, for those performers na kung saan mai-entertain nila yung mga audience. Okay. Next, we have form. Form in the book Worlds of Music, Jeff Todd Titon suggests that a number of organizational elements may determine the formal structure of a piece of music. So such as the arrangement of music units of rhythm, melody, and or harmony that show repetition or variation. So this is also the arrangement of the instruments. So that is a form. When you say a form, this is also part of the concept. The piece of music, kailangan organize siya. Kailangan ang pagkakasunod-sunod. For instance, like in an orchestra, pag sa mga string musical instrument, kailangan they are separated with the other musical instruments para ma-identify ng conductors kung sino yung ikakandak niya, particularly doon sa mga musical instrument users. Then, as in the order of solos in a jazz or bluegrass performance, even though sa mga singers, sa mga vocal solo singers, they have their own place, they have their own position, whereas na kailangan ma-identify because that is according to the form, according to the order, particularly. So, or the way a symphony piece is orchestrate. So, among other factors, kailangan talaga siya is organized. That is the meaning of form. So, these organizational elements may be broken into smaller units called phrases. Okay, so for instance, sa mga musical instruments or shall I say sa musical symbols, kailangan kumbaga ano siya, mahati siya into smaller units, naka-chunk siya. So which express a musical idea but lack sufficient way to stand alone. So lack sufficient way to stand alone. Talagang kailangan rin nila ng support from the other. For instance, sa singer, kailangan nila ng mga director, kailangan nila ng mga musical uh, persons whereas nagagamit accompanied with musical instruments. The musical form unfolds over time through the expansion and development of these ideas. Kasi yung sa singing kasi, hindi lang more on singing, but you know how to read the notes, you know how to breath, because take note, yung breathing talaga is very important. Okay, as an element of art, form includes line, shape, value, color, texture, and space. So that these are actually the elements in art, whereas very important, kailangan ma-identify natin, kailangan ma-familiarize natin what is the line, the shape, the value, the color, the texture, and even the space. So it connotes something that is three-dimensional and encloses a volume. So when I say volume, kung gaano nga ba siya kakapal, gaano kanipis. We have also having length, kung talagang yung color na nilalagay natin doon, sakto nga lang ba or kulang. For instance, pag yung background is darker, kailangan yung text natin is lighter. Kailangan hindi siya mag-match doon sa background kasi wala na tayong makikita. Then we have also the width and the height versus shape, which is two-dimensional or flat. So not just only in singing na kailangan we know how to read the notes, we know how to breathe, kasi yun ang pinaka-technique usually. But also in arts, kailangan meron din tayong tinatawag na mga techniques on how to use it properly para maganda yung output. Okay, so the third one, we have the function and intent. What is the function, particularly in music or even in a performances? Okay, so in art, usually refers to music, dance, theater, literature, and visual arts. So each grows from a common need to give expressive substance to feelings and experiences. So same with uh, mga artista na kung saan umaawit, kailangan from the heart. Kailangan yung feelings nila is magmamatch doon, or I mean, their facial expressions, kailangan magmamatch doon sa kanta, kung ano yung feeling. So, because of their experiences also, later on, parang mas nagle-level up yung mga performances nila. And that is usually refers to music, of course, the dance, same with the theater or literature and visual arts. Kailangan pag gagawa ka ng mga ganitong klaseng function and intent, kailangan alam natin kung ano yung dapat i-express. Not just only doing kung ano yung gusto mo, but also kailangan alamin mo what is the significance of that sayaw or performance or pagkanta mo. Okay, so that is the function. What is the function and intent? Then in arts, communicate meanings that go far beyond ordinary virtual exchange. Of course, it shows. Yung arts talaga, this is a sense of communication. We have also the different meanings. What is arts? Especially in picture analysis, kailangan iba-iba yung interpretation natin based doon sa nakikita natin na, shall I say, visual arts. So humans make art to understand life. Yes, because if we're talking about arts, art is everywhere talaga. So how to understand life, how to communicate emotions and ideas to create something beautiful. Because there are other people na they cannot express their feelings, they cannot express their thoughts, pero pag doon na sa arts, doon nila na ipapalabas yung galing nila. Kasi may mga tao na hindi sila ganun kagaling sa music, but if we're looking the other side of their skills, shall I say, the art, yung ginagawa nila, doon sila mas magaling. Okay, so nakadepende yan. So there are ways to understand and appreciate art, of course. Kasi, for instance, pag gumagawa ka, kailangan, of course, isa ka doon sa audience ng output mo. Or yung sinasabi na natin na love your own work. Kasi sino pa ba naman ang mag-a-appreciate? And of course, later on, parang gagawa ka or magbibigay ka ng judgment according to your output or the performance because you cannot say something na talagang magaling ka without any judgment coming, especially coming from the other persons. Then we have here also the art for delight. Okay, so we need delight, enjoyment, pleasure, decoration, amusement, and embellishment in our lives to lift us above the stream of life. Of course, kasi this is actually part of growing up, no? Part talaga ito. We need enjoyment. Bakit? Kasi we are just persons lang din naman. Okay? Then we have also here the pleasure. This is normal kasi tayo, tao lang din naman na kung saan we need pleasure na kung saan nakaka-enjoy, sa kung saan nakakapagbigay ng satisfaction sa atin. Then you have also the decoration, not literally na decoration kailangan pagandahin. What I mean is, kumbaga yung decoration, kailangan bigyan natin ng twists yung life natin for us to have yung excitement na tinatawag. Then we also the amusement and embellishment in our lives kasi kailangan for us to lift us above the stream of life. Sabi pa nga nila, live life to the fullest. So in short, gagawa tayo ng mga magaganda for us to live life to the fullest. Then art as commentary. Okay, so artists who view art's primary goal as communicable between the artist and the viewer by the means of subject matter. So of course, kasi kanya-kanya tayong kumbaga experiences, particularly we cannot share what we have. We cannot say something pag wala tayong meron. What I mean is pag wala rin tayo. So in this case, art as commentary, artists who view art's primary goal as communicable. So when you say communicable kasi is nakakaano ito, kumbaga kung sasakit pa, nakakahawa. So between the artist and the viewer. So well, of course, if you are the performer, if you are an artist, of course, kailangan your concern is the satisfaction of the viewer. So that is by the means of subject matter. So marunong talaga tayo dapat magkilugar. Whereas yung audience, pag hindi na ganahan, so kailangan hanap tayo ng way for us to entertain the viewers. Then it also satisfies or testifies rather clearly to what the artist experienced and takes us to a specific place and time, of course. So meron talagang places and time whereas na pag magpe-perform tayo or pag magsasalita tayo, kailangan try to look at the audience. Pag sa tingin mo is naboboard na sila, so find another style for them to entertain. So, and that's the time also na kung saan you need to do what is the best for you and for them to entertain. So, that is art as commentary. So, we have here the art in worship and ritual. Of course, sa art kasi in singing, I mean in music, may mga kanta whereas na intended for a church and intended for gala-gala or I mean ano lang siya, kumbaga for pang-videokihan, parang ganon. So another function of art has been to enhance religious contemplation. Okay, so there are arts particularly na kung saan talagang ano siya, especially sa akin as a member of the Roman Catholic, talagang we are using images, but it doesn't mean na yun talaga yung sinisimba namin. Whereas, sila lang yun ang representation or sila lang nagre-representa whereas na sila ang isa sa mga kumbaga saints, mga santo na kung saan ginagamit din namin. Pero ang pinaka bottom line doon is kumbaga tumutulong din sila para sa amin. Tsaka hingi rin kami ng tulong para sa kanila. Because we are kumbaga, nagsisimba lang tayo sa isang Panginoon. So that is that is based in my interpretation according to the worship and ritual in arts to enhance religious contemplation. So most of the world's religions have found ways to incorporate artists' creativity into their sacred rituals, places, and ceremonies. Of course, for the sacred rituals, so for instance, meron tayong Sunday Mass. Okay, so saan nga ba ginagawa? For instance, in a Roman Catholic. So of course, ginagawa either doon sa cathedral, sa church, parish ba, or pwede sa chapel or sa kapilya. So for instance, another one also for the ceremonies, halimbawa pag may mga kasal, may mga binyag, so that is also is sacred rituals. Okay, so may mga kanta, may mga arts doon na tinatawag. Hindi ibig sabihin na arts is magdodraw. Kasi yun usually yung mga interpretation natin pag mag-arts na, meron tayong band paper, may color, may mga ganon. So even though kahit na kumakain tayo, kahit na nakaupo tayo, that is also part of the art na. Okay? Then we have also here the other one, art for commemoration. So commemoration is something done as an aid to memory. Okay, so parang masasabi natin na talagang nakakaano to, especially one of the concrete examples in art for commemoration is yoga. Nakakatulong ito sa ating pag-iisip, nakaka-reflect, kumbaga nakaka-relax. Okay, kapag sa mga hindi pa nakatry ng yoga, so try it, and then for how many minutes lang siguro. So kailangan yung surroundings, pag magpe-perform ka ng yoga, kailangan tahimik. Okay, kasi this is more on concentration, reflection, parang ganun, para makafocus. Then more often, a public act, perhaps celebrating a significant person or event, or honoring patriotic actions. So this is also an art for commemoration. So that is why na magsi-celebrate tayo, for instance, kumbaga, kasi sa buwan ngayon is Teachers Month man tayo. So, depende lang kung kailan ba natin i-celebrate. If I'm not mistaken, sa 26 siguro September. Then, we have also other celebrations na kung saan talagang natin. For instance, December 30, Rizal Day, para mga ganun. So, that is also part of the art for commemoration. Sometimes, meron tayong mga revolt or mga statue ng mga national heroes natin na kung saan ang laki ng contribution dito sa bansa. Okay? So, art for persuasion. So, government buildings, public monuments, television commercials, and music videos all harness the power of art to influence action and opinion. So, that is why, try to observe the other television commercials, talagang ang laki ng influence. Kasi usually sa atin, we are not looking the message of the commercial. Hindi natin tinitingnan yung mensahe ng commercial, kundi tinitingnan kaagad natin kung ano nga ba, pagkain ba yun, or ano nga ba, bago ba yun. Then later on, itatry natin. Without knowing na yung message ng commercial na yun is ang ganda pala. So usually yun ang natin, yun ang there is something siguro na parang we are fan lang doon sa product na yon without knowing sa mga messages ng commercial na yon. Then you have also the public monuments, of course. Kaya nga sa mga munisipyo meron tayong mga statue ng mga national heroes natin, whereas na nagre-representa according sa mga contributions nila sa mga naitulong nila dito sa country natin. Then, the power of art to influence action and opinion. Okay, so maganda talagang masasabi natin pag tinitingnan natin kung ano nga ba yung pinaka-core doon, particularly sa mga commercials. Then, also the government buildings, meron, bakit nga ba naitayo yung ganon na building? Bakit nga ba ito itatayo? So, merong meaning yan. Okay, so kailangan aware din tayo on how to give judgment, particularly doon sa television commercials and music videos. Okay, next we have art for self-expression. So art fulfills an expressive function when an artist conveys information about his or her personality or feelings or worldview. Aside from a social cause, market demand, commissioning ruler, or aesthetic urge. Of course. So yung arts kasi is fulfills an expressive function. So as what I have said earlier, sabi ko pa kanina, na may mga tao na kung saan hindi sila vocal, particularly kung ano yung nararamdaman nila. Pero pag doon na sa arts or doon na sa music, talagang doon nila ini-express kung anong meron sila, ano yung gusto nila. Okay, that is also their a form of ways na kung saan expression, particularly doon sa feelings nila. Because sabi pa nga sa art for self-expression fulfills an expressive function. Kasi artists naman tayo lahat eh. Pero kanya-kanya lang tayo ng mga masterpieces. Okay? So aside from a social cause, we have also the market demand, commissioning ruler or static urge. Okay, so hopefully you understand our topic. So this time we will have our activities. There are two, I already prepared two activities. But first, we have activity 1. So here are the directions of our activity. Complete the table below by filling out the information needed. So all you have to do, okay, so here is the table. Then you are going to give the definition. For instance, we have here in the left side of the table, we have the elements of an artistic expression, but dalawa lang. Okay? So, dalawa lang ang given, whereas sa definition or usage, only 3 definitions here. So, all you have to do is, for instance, like in a number 1, rhythm, you are going to define. Then your answer is you're going to write it to the right side in the table in column 1. So definition, the next we have the number 2. The definition is already given. So all you have to do is to find the element of artistic expression, whereas the meaning is it is the lack of audible sound or presence of sounds of very low intensity. So same with number 3 line, you are going to give the definition of the line. Then the third also, you're going to give the elements of artistic expression because the definition is already given. So for the fourth definition, a self-contained part of a musical composition or musical form. Okay, same with number 5. So the definition is already given. Then all you have to do is to find the element of artistic expression. The definition here is it is how the tempo, the melodic, and harmonic materials are combined in a composition. So that is 5 points each. Okay, so good luck. Okay, our next activity is, this is direction. It is how the tempo, melodic, and harmonic materials are combined in a composition. Okay, the tempo, the melodic, and harmonic materials. So according to the combination of a composition. So all you have to do, first question, we have here the line. So the mechanics in our activity number 2 is you are going to draw. Then your answer is in, the line should be in a box, or try to look at the other, our previous discussion. So you are going to draw the line, then your answer should be in a inside of this box. Okay, next we have the movement. Okay, so movement, same with question number 1. So i-draw nyo itong movement, isusulat nyo dito yung sagot ninyo sa loob ng box. Okay, the next we have rhythm. So same also rhythm, yung ano yung rhythm, according to our previous discussion, isusulat or i-draw ninyo yung rhythm dito sa loob ng box. Next, we have the space, of course. Space, so same with the previous questions. You're going to write or draw the space inside the box. Okay? So, thank you. I am hoping na naiintindihan ninyo. And, of course, if you have queries, do not hesitate to chat or to text, particularly dito sa first topic natin. This is our first topic for the week 1 and week 2. So thank you and God bless.